Much for coming to my talk. Okay, the sound is good. People are still trickling in, so I want to just get a second to actually get to know you. So, please raise your hand if you are a Scrum Master, organizational facilitator, organizational coach. Please raise your hand. Wow, okay. That's very nice. Now, raise your hand if you're an independent consultant. There are a couple of us out there, high five. Now, raise your hand if you're a manager, if you have reports, if you manage talent. Nice, nice. So this presentation is for everybody, and that's why I'm gonna also ask you, how many of you are hungry? Oof, okay, so I'm gonna try to get it like really fast. So now that I got to know you, hi, I'm Raul. And my background is as a product designer, UX designer. But about 7 years ago, I transitioned to a manager position. And I remember to this day, when I was given this mandate to build a team, multidisciplinary team, to build mobile apps at Intact Insurance, the chief digital officer, she came to me and said, Raul, I want you to hire only top talent. And I was, yes, thank you so much for your trust. I'm going to build the best team, the best apps. Thank you so much. But as I started building this team and really looking at the profiles that were coming my way, I started wondering, what does it mean, top talent, to me? And I realized that my definition, my biased definition, was of someone really skilled and really efficient at what they do. And I realized that was a very limited definition, because I also wanted to build a really good team culture, a supportive one. So I started adding other things to my definition of what top talent means. That means people that can build positive work relationships around them, because that is the basis of collaboration. People that they come with a side of humbleness. People that they are self-motivators, that they really lean into what they learn to do, and that motivates them. And also adaptability, their ability to learn. And that kind of completed my definition of like, oh, what top talent means to me. And then I was wondering, okay, where is this top talent created? Does Google has a secret factory of top talent people? Should I be looking for top talent there? Or is it a good university that has top talent? And then I realized actually that top talent, it's a perceived temporary state through the lens of a company. A top talent that is seen as Shopify might not be a top talent in Intact Insurance. Might be completely two different things. But as I was getting to know more and more people and interviewing them, I realized there are those profiles. They could be top talent in any organization. And what made them was really their ability to adapt and learn. Now, I talked about learning, and I know learning is something that some organizations understand is really important. So I'll ask you to give me a sense of this room. What do you think of your organization? Is it 5 a great place for learning, or is it 1 not a great place for learning? You can vote for this poll by using your phone and opening the camera. Just scan the QR code, or you can join it on the browser, slido.com, and enter the number. Now, I know some of you are eating, so please enjoy eating. Don't interrupt your meal. And I'm just going to wait a little bit. Oh, I'm happy to see there are some companies there at 5 stars. Thumbs up for them. Now, a lot of companies offer a lot of benefits, and I will just admit, some of you are here because your company paid for it, and that is a benefit. And there are other benefits that companies offer. They might offer your Udemy classes or buying books, learning budgets. They might offer that you can use a percentage of your time, of your work time, on your learning goal. Or they might even bundle performance with learning together. Well, that's something that would motivate you, right? But we only get 21% of all the votes on the 5 top companies, and other companies are 3 and 4. So what are some of the things that actually might hold companies back for being a great place for learning? Now, I gave a lot of thought about this. I actually ended up doing a master's degree at Concordia on organizational psychology and team dynamics. And one thing that I realized as a pattern is that if you're thinking of a university as a learning place, and you're thinking of a company as a working place, there are paradigm shifts and different behaviors of people that inhabit one or the other. The first one is when you go to your university and you choose your subject, let's say marine biology, because, I don't know, you liked Ariel and you want to find out everything about the life under the sea. The first thing that you're given is actually a course plan. You're given a map. You're being given these books that you need to read. You have your cohort, your professors that might inspire you, your exam. But first and foremost, you're given a plan. You're given, you have to do all this, you have to read all this to actually get there. In a company, you don't get that. Even if you choose to, let's say, transition from a developer to a Scrum Master, it's very rarely someone will come and tell you, read all this, do all that, do the other one. So your entry point for learning a new skill is really high. Second, in a university, you're there for yourself. You're there for me time. You are investing in you to learn something. In a company, a company values teamwork, collaboration. So every time you actually do something for yourself, you're a bit stealing the time from the team time. So there is a conflict of prioritization between teamwork and me work, which is learning goal. And the third one is we bundle performance with learning. That is not a benefit. You're measured by being performant and what you know to do well. Learning is not about doing something well, but learning is about being bad at something and learning to be better. So decoupling this will create a much more safer environment to actually pursue learning goals. All right. So as I was doing my master, I started experimenting with my teams at Shopify and Covio, and to see what can I do to actually help the teams not deal with those, the high entry point, the team work versus me work, and so on. And I started doing different rituals, helping them get their learning goals, making it a team activity. And about 2 years in, I realized it's like, oh, I already have a pattern. I actually have a framework. So that's what I want to talk to you today, and that's what is printed also on your flyers. It's a framework, and I call it a learning team experience framework. Now, the framework has 4 stages, and I'm going to present you what I do at each stage. And you can go and implement this framework in your company, and I will be thumbs up, let me know, call me, I will help you. Or you can just see some of the activities that maybe are much more available to you right now that you can start doing with your teams and pick up some of those activities. I have templates, I have Miro boards, I have everything that you need, scripts, facilitator scripts. But before we go into each stage, let me go back and talk about some of the basics of ALTE, a learning team experience. First, you need a facilitator, which is a bit the instigator too. A facilitator can be a team manager, so you can facilitate for your team the learning goals, or it can be a guild leader. Let's say you have a business analyst, and your business analyst expertise is distributed through your organization, but you have a business analyst that does every 2 weeks like a guild meeting. They could be a great facilitator to get all the business analysts to actually do this framework together. That will break the silos, so this is really good. Or it could be a Scrum Master that does this for their development team. This framework is also really good for remote type of environments because it gives opportunities for people to connect for something else than project work. Or just coffee chat, which can be superficial and people might just not want to show up. The other one, you need 4 between 16 participants, anything in between. Less than 4, you do study buddies, so will not work, so you need pairs. 16, you must be a really good facilitator, but it's almost like a retrospective. You know, a retrospective with 16 people is really a lot. It can be done, but it's really a lot. And you can do, if you want to implement the framework from the beginning to the end, is 3 to 6 months. Did I hear gasps? you know, if we can plan our product roadmaps for 2 years, I think we can plan a little bit around our own development. So 6 months is not that much. But there were no gasps. I kind of rehearsed that and faked it. So this is how it looks on a time frame. In the first 2 weeks, the facilitator would help each participant to find their learning goals and build a learning plan based on their learning preferences. The second stage is actually an event, a team building event. This team building event allows every individual in the team to actually start learning because everybody is going to do it. The third, the learning period, it's actually the longest period. The facilitator doesn't have so much to do, really, absolutely nothing. But learning, deep learning takes time. So the 5 months are for all the participants to actually self-organize, organize meetings with their study buddy, and actually get to read those books that they want to. And then at the end of the learning period, we will find closure. That also puts in the perspective, you can celebrate what you learn, and you can also have a bit of a retrospective of where participants can look at how they learn, what are their learning habits. So these are the 4 stages that it goes through, if you want to go through a framework. This is a framework that you can do several times with the team, and that's what I do. I normally do take a break of 3 months before I start it again. Now, let's look at each stage. So how do you coach as a facilitator your participants to actually find their learning goals? I like to use a template. This is a template that I've done for product design and for UX designers, and all these skills, there are 12 skills, is something that I take either from their job description, either from their career growth framework that you might have internally in your company. By the way, I have this for QA, PMs, developers too, if you want to use the template. And I ask them to pre-select before they meet with me 3 skills that they want to focus on. And then when they meet with me, they're already prepared. So what I do, I ask them about their selection process. And I ask one vital question. How will those learning goals help you with the challenges you have right now? What I'm really asking is like, what do you struggle with right now? Now, if I would be in a performance review meeting, they will never tell me that. But because we are in a growth meeting, they will tell me that, and I can support them then. And they also realize how their learning goals actually connect with their challenges. At the end of this meeting, it's a half an hour meeting, I ask them to prepare for the next meeting just a learning plan. Go for these 3 goals and search whatever you want. Tutorial, videos, books, do whatever you like. Just come with a lot of things that will help you really get better at this goal. So in the second meeting, they come back with, 10 books. And then when I help them edit down a little bit, in the sense, if you have 5 months to invest in your learning goals, how much do you want to invest per week in your learning goals? If they say 1 hour, I say, well, then you have 20 hours. So what do you want to do with the 20 hours? And they will say, oh, I'm going to take 1 class, 1 book, and that's it, instead of reading 5 books. That really sets them up for success too, because you don't want the participants to start really in their learning goal and be like, oh my God, I said 5 books, I'll never finish that. So you want to avoid that too. At the end of this stage, the stage 1, hi. At the end of this stage 1, the participants, they have learning goal and a learning plan. Now this is where you have to do a bit of team magic. This is where you do a host and you make this a team activity, not a solo activity. This is how it looks when you do it on a team activity. You set up, you ask all the participants to come and share with one another their learning goals. This might also open some discussions of where will your team be with all these new skills. As you can see, this team that I was coaching at, this was my team at Covio, everybody was really interested in communication and leadership. So we were developing certain skills that maybe we might have been missing at that time in the company, and the design team felt that they needed to develop those. Once just doing this exercise tells everybody, oh, we are given, the team gives permission to each individual to actually spend time in learning. At the end of this event, I do study buddies. I think if you were in the meeting before, people were talking about avoiding burnout and create kind of partner in the organization. This is how you create partners. You put the study buddies, and this will create a positive relationship they will have, and that relationship will reverberate. I like to do something a bit ritualistic. I actually ask people to sign each other's learning goal because this helps with the behavior science of kind of pattern of really they really commit to what they meant. At the end of stage 2, participants are free to actually just self-organize, schedule the study buddy meetings, and go into their learning periods. As a facilitator, you don't have much to do, but I would observe. I like to observe. Because I was in this meeting once, and 2 different researchers from 2 different departments, that they don't work together. They were really aligned on that meeting. They had the same kind of insights, and they really were trying to convince the stakeholders to go. And I was like, how does Juliana and Anne-Marie even are so aligned? And then I realized, wait, they are study buddies. So that really broke the silos between departments because they had another type of relationship. So that's what I would say. In a group of 10 people, you're actually creating 5 positive relationships that there weren't any before. So you can really leverage learning and personal collection and personal growth to actually create those positive relationships. The other thing as a facilitator I would be aware is that you, if your learning period, if you have a holiday between your learning periods, like a winter holiday, maybe do a midway energizer workshop. 1 hour, you bring the participants in, you give them half an hour to revisit their learning plan and so on, and this gives them a bit more steam again to go. And the last one. The last one is the graduation event. And this is really one of my favorite events because it creates really emotional bonds between people and you celebrate something together. One activity I do in this graduation event is a bit of a demo. I ask each participant to take 1 hour by themselves and revisit everything they learned in the last 5 months. That really helps with the recall and retention because they have to relearn very fast some comments and summarize it. Though I don't ask people to actually come and demo their learning goals. Imagine to sit through 10, that would kill the buzz of the workshop. I just ask them to put it in a Miro board, in a document, so people can visit later if they want to see it. The other exercise that I do, it's a bit of a retrospective. It's like, what boosted your learning, what held back your learning, and what would you do differently on your learning? This is when participants will actually share strategies of what helped them learn. But also some participants, you might see some, they were not as invested as everybody in the learning goals. They might really regret it and say, you know what, next time, I'm really gonna invest time. So it will give them the motivation to actually do that. And the last one, I like to do something memorable, something that will give us the graduation photo. One exercise I like to do for remote teams is I give 10 seconds for everybody to go and search for a hat. 10 seconds is not much. So you're really panicked through your house. And then they come and they are rosy-cheeked, and I say, it's like, okay, at 3, 2, 1, we throw the hat in the air, we graduated. And then I take the photo, and everybody's is laughing, it's amazing. Another thing for remote teams, and this is like the 3rd time I did it at Covio, so I need to invent something else, I gave a budget for flowers. That's something you get in graduation, and we had something in our home that would remind us about what really connects us as a team. And this is the end of the stage 4, and this is the end of the framework. As I said, if you want any type of scripts, articles, there's a Udemy class on it and templates you'll find on my website. If there are any takeaways I want you to take with you, make learning a team activity. Give permission to participants and the team to learn together, because that will create positive relationships and wouldn't let space sometimes for toxic relationships too. And it will break silos in the organization. By doing that, you also will maximize those learning benefits. You will remember better at this conference if you do it with a buddy than alone, for example. Thank you so much, and yeah, I'm open for questions. Yes?
So if I get this well, one of the key elements in the first steps is that people choose the skills they want to learn, what they want to build a learning plan on. Did you do it the other way around, where, well, maybe the basket of skills was pre-selected or something that is more chosen by the organization? Or
so the question is, do I give a set of skills for participants to choose from?
What did you, or is it always something that the participant brings to the saying, I want to learn ABC because it will help me with XYZ?
So I give a set of skills for the participants they can choose from. Because that's the hardest thing actually. It's like, oh, what do you want to learn next? If I have to think of what are the skills I want to improve, so I give a set of 12 skills for the participants. Though some participants, and that's okay, if a participant says it's like, well, there's a 13th skill, it's not here and I want to learn that one, if it is relevant to their job, I will accept it, of course. Right, so for example, I don't know, you have this template is for a developer and it doesn't have, they really want to, I don't know, learn Java and Java is not there and they really want to invest in Java, I would be like, yeah, just put a skill there and we'll do it. But I give people skills from the beginning so they can name things. There's a skill called, I think, project management there, and one designer didn't want to touch it. She said that's the least I want to talk about. And it was funny because she was not very good at time management. And then we had a whole conversation what project management means to her. And she was like, this is the job of a product manager. And I was a bit like, but you have to understand what they do to work with them, you know? So you do have to give those skills because it will generate discussions.
Thanks.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, of course.
Hi.
I believe everything is relying on the learning buddy. So what happens if because there is a long period of time with learning, and if you're alone and the facilitator involvement is reduced, how do you keep track if you are alone in this area you want to learn?
When I pair people, I don't pair them on learning goals. I just pair them. I actually don't do it randomly. I do it very intentionally. That's why I would put two people from two departments pairing together, even if they don't have the same learning goal, it doesn't matter. Or sometimes if I know that I have someone very junior that I have to bring very fast up, I might pair them with someone that is very senior, that might teach them the skills. So they don't have to match their learning goals. They just have to be study buddies. It happened once that I had a cohort that were in pair number and we had a triad that they did it together. But I think study buddies work the best. Openness only happens in dyadic relationships. So that means that when you want to build a strong positive relationship, it will only happen in two people, not in three. That's why I prefer buddies.
And do you have an algorithm for that?
That's why it's instinct, really. It's like I look who is in the room. For example, I avoid pairing people that are already friends, because I want to create new relationships, right? Sometimes I might avoid people that I think they probably have a conflict together. I go to that extent. It's like, oh, if you have conflict in projects, you might actually get along if you start collaborating on what you care and what you learn and what are your challenges. That might actually make you better communicate together in projects. I don't have an algorithm. Yes?
I often have a tendency to separate the hard skills and soft skills. My first guess would be, if we wanted to do this, I would do a soft skill session and a hard skill session. How do you feel about potentially mixing both? So if some people want some hard skills and others want some soft skills, and potentially even be buddies or preparing the same sessions for both soft and hard skills.
The template I use has both. For the left side was hard skills, wireframing, qualitative analysis, UI design systems, and the left side had facilitation, leadership, communication, management, and so on. So I combine both because I think both they are really important in what we do, and we are not just a set of skills; we are also a set of like soft skills in a way, right? It's how do we behave at work and how do we negotiate our work agreements with others and so on. So I combine both.
Have you ever had instances where people who chose or got hard skills thought it was unfair versus the ones that choose soft skills, because people have a tendency to think soft skills are easier or bring less value in the immediate term?
Not in the teams I managed. No. Yeah. It's actually sometimes it was hard to get them away from soft skills to do also some of the hard skills. I find it the other way around. People just wanted to do a lot of soft skills. instead of like really hard skills. Like someone that is not very good at wireframing and they only choose like leadership and management and so on. It's like, are we trying to change career? This is where a bit of coaching helps. It's like, are you aware also of what the skills you need to go to the next level? Does that answer your question? Sorry. Yeah, okay.
Have you tried to merge that with organizational development, or do you keep those separate? So like pairing people between silos or stuff like that intentionally, or keeping those separate?
It's a really good point with the organizational development. Yes, if you have a distributed experts in your company, like quality assurance, business analysts, product designers tend to be sometimes really distributed too. Connecting them like this will break the silos, and also will create relationships where they will identify if there are areas that they should collaborate strongly, and that will be part of organizational development. Yeah, I think for a benefit for a company, not from the individual point of view, but from the company point of view, I think that's a big benefit there, that it breaks those silos. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Okay, one last question, and then we go to eat. So the question is, you were saying it's like it's hard to switch between facilitator and participant, and the second question was like, what do you do if you want to bring into an organization and you're the only one knowing what it is? So in this example, I wouldn't be one of the participants. I would really just be a facilitator, because it will be because you have to do your own learning goals too, and you as a facilitator, you're actually coaching the other ones. You are holding the space for them to discuss why is this important for you. For them. So you'll need someone else to do it for you. Maybe you have a co-facilitator maybe, and then you can do, but I wouldn't. I would really focus on facilitating this. Bring it into a company, if you feel that a company is not that open to that, that's how I would say, don't bring the whole framework. Bring one ritual. And it could be, let's do study buddies together for the next 6 months, or let's all decide what our learning goals, and do a team activity and present it as a team, what do we want to learn. These are some of the little things I would really do, or I would start with. Even just a template of 12 skills, I was like, oh, what would be our 12 skills if we would want to improve? Even asking the team to map those skills that could be relevant for them or the team, that could be just a starting point. And then they will just want to do more. Yeah. Thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch. If you have any questions or anything, please don't be shy. I'll be at a conference for the next 2 days. I think I will be a volunteer in this room tomorrow, in the English room apparently. Or just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to guide you if you want to implement this or a part of it in your organization.